Good morning, everyone. It's Wednesday, July 31st. Bill DiOrio speaking to you from an undisclosed location in North Boulder. And I wanted to talk today for a little bit about some more information I've unearthed on my opponent, Junie Joseph. And I want to make sure that people understand that Junie is not what she appears to be. She gives the appearance to be a liberal Democrat, but in reality, she's a hardcore Marxist, and let me explain what I mean. So, looking at her Wikipedia site, I was looking to see whether there was any evidence that she was a citizen of the United States. And it says on the Wikipedia site that she was born in Haiti in 1985 or 1986. Which that doesn't really narrow her birthday down very well. And then she moved to Florida at the age of 14, so that would put her in 1999 or 2000, depending on when she was born. There's no way to do an inquiry with the National Archives on citizenships without having an exact birth date, and you need the name of the parents. I asked Junie to please forward to me a copy of her naturalization certificate, and that has not happened yet, nor has she given me her actual birth date. But one thing I did notice in the Wikipedia page was this interesting note here that she's a member of the Democratic Socialists of America. I thought, oh, well, that's interesting. Who are they? So I clicked on the link, and it shows there are only 8 members in Colorado who are members of this astute organization. Tim Hernandez is one, Elizabeth Epps is another, Junie and Trey Anderson, Andrew Bessenecker, Candy Siribaka, Lauren Garcia, Javier Mabre, and of course Junie. So let's find what we can find out about the Democratic Socialists of America. So going to their website, I was able to download some information. Now here is the classic to begin with. In 1787, when Elizabeth Willing Powell asked Benjamin Franklin what kind of government they had given us, a republic or a monarchy. So they weren't even thinking democracy. They wanted to know whether the country was going to be established as a monarchy or a republic. And Franklin famously replied, "A republic if you can keep it." That's important because the intention of the United States Constitution was to establish a republic, not a pure democracy, which everyone at the Constitution Convention was terrified of. So the Democratic Socialists of America are a hardcore Marxist communist group. They want to overthrow capitalism, which means basically they want to overthrow property rights and the ability of people to own property, which is actually counter to the interests of the working class. I mean, one of the fundamental rights of a worker is to be able to have and save his savings, and to establish ownership, and to establish capital. They want to make that impossible. And they somehow think they can do this without falling into the authoritarianism of history, which they say the authoritarian vision of socialism has been relegated to the dustbin of history. I don't know about that. They want a collective ownership of the economic drivers. The working class must be identified as multiracial. The race card is supreme. It's even more important than the class card, and so they want this to happen so that the working class is not divided by fear. But my argument is, as soon as you divide people by race, you engender fear. They want a single-payer Medicare for all, defunding the police, which is a horrible idea, single-payer Medicare for all. The issue there is everything the government touches, prices explode. Look what's happened to college tuition and housing prices, both of which the government has gotten involved with. If we had a taxpayer-funded medical system where everyone's covered from soup to nuts with no premiums, and all funded by tax receipts or borrowing, the medical costs would go insane. The Green New Deal, which is an uneconomic and a technically unsound system of energy that's basically ruining the country, and somehow this is going to transition to a freer and more just life. But I don't believe it. Now, some of the books, one of the books that they have on the Democratic Socialist reading list, there's two things that you've got to understand. Is that they're essentially the Democratic Socialists they're explicitly promoting the overthrow of the United States Constitution because they're promoting a system of representation that is totally contrary to the U.S. Constitution. And what they call this is proportional representation, which sounds great, but when you realize it basically places all of the power of government in the hands of a single legislature. Let's go on to the next one. This book by Luke Pickrell is called The Constitutional Bind. And the premise of this book is he's reviewing a book by Aziz Rana called The Constitutional Bind, and he declares this book provides a blueprint for the left to return to agitating against the constitutional order. In other words, overthrowing the Constitution of the United States. And he recommends, as a prominent member of the Democratic Socialists of America, that this is the approach that the Democratic Socialists should follow. And it's called Democratic Republicanism. All right, so how does that work? The idea of democratic of Republican democracy is very simple. That it places all of the power of the legislature in the hands of a single unicameral House of Representatives. They want to abolish the Senate, and they want to make it impossible for the president to veto any actions by this legislature, and they want to make it impossible for the Supreme Court to veto any of the bills passed by the legislature, which means it's a complete monopoly of power in the hands of a single House of Representatives with absolutely no checks and balances. So basically anything that this body enacts becomes a law, and there's no reviews. So you can see here they're calling for the abolition of the Senate and the Electoral College, a second constitutional convention, in other words, overthrowing our existing Constitution, and a conscious effort to update the 1912 SPA legal political agenda for the present day. That's the agenda for the Socialist Party of America. So this other article written by Harley Morency and Luke Pickrell, again, describing the artifacts or the mechanism of democratic republicanism, harkens back. Of course, it starts right off by referencing Karl Marx and the Russian Revolution, Frederick Engels, Victor Berger, who was a leading member of the Socialist Party of America, SPA, described in principle to an American audience when he introduced a constitutional amendment to abolish the United States Senate. The Senate, he says, was an obstructive and useless body, a menace to people's liberties, and an obstacle to social growth. All legislative powers will be vested in the House of Representatives. Its enactments, subject to a referendum, will be supreme law, and the president shall have no power to veto them, nor will any court have the power to invalidate them. So apparently the only check on this legislation would be a general referendum, and that would be a national referendum if Congress passed a law confiscating property or starting a war or whatever. There would be no one to intervene except we would be having to organize a national referendum. He argues that the history of struggles for a democratic constitution remains relevant because the U.S. is not a democracy. It wasn't in the past, and it isn't now. And he's correct on that. The United States was set up as a republic, not as a democracy. So this goes on and on, talking about the Manifesto of Equals, and continuously referring Marx and Engels, and just making the argument that the Constitution of the United States is a worthless document. Now, my question is, how can Junie Joseph, who's a member of this organization and subscribes to these principles, how did she take the oath of office to serve in the House of Representatives of the state of Colorado? If she belongs to an organization that advocates the overthrow of the Constitution of the United States, how does she legitimately and honestly swear an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States? I don't think she did. In fact, I think that her oath of office was an act of perjury. So I question the whole thing. So again, they say you don't win an office by being not the other guy. But I want the people of House District 10 to understand that this is Junie Joseph. She is not the charming lady from Haiti who fights for the working people. She's a hardcore Marxist and a hardcore Leninist. And if you elect her to office, don't be surprised at what you get, because it's going to be this. It's not going to be a Ben Franklin. It's going to be Karl Marx. So thanks a lot. And if you like this video, please like it and subscribe to the channel. And also, when you're out, ask people to email Junie at friends, Junie for Boulder, her email, if you can Google it, and ask her to submit a certificate of her naturalization to prove that she actually is a citizen of the United States, and also to ask her to answer the question, how could she swear to uphold the Constitution of the United States when she belongs to an organization that wants to overthrow the Constitution of the United States? So thanks a lot, and God bless you all.